Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of Hope for Humanity series. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be presenting a guest, a longtime friend of mine. I actually had him on my show, Lordess Tarot, a while back. I want to welcome him back. We're going to discuss some things about, and all things about spirituality. So today's guest is Aaron Bacon. Aaron, would you like to join us here? Yes, applause.
Thank you.
So, everybody, this is Aaron Bacon, and we're going to be discussing all things spiritual, like I said. And so, to start off the topic, let's hear about some of your amazing moments in spirituality. I know you've been studying under the Maha-Rita, is it?
Maha-Rita.
Maha-Rita, okay. So tell the viewers a little bit about the Maha-Rita.
Well, it's a group of people who like to meditate, I suppose. The word Maha-Rita is a Sanskrit word. It's not something that was made up there. Mm-hmm. It's it's a Sanskrit word that means the great field, right? Maha means great and Rita means field. So it sort of represents being in a field. It's not about the field. It's like the one who comes into the great field. And that means that you can go in any direction, really. And that's kind of the point of the whole philosophy in the Maha-Rita is, like, you can't enlighten unless your mind belongs to yourself, right? You can't be enslaved to a doctrine of any kind.
Right.
So your freedom is absolute, right? And so is everybody else's. And that's sort of what it means to be one who's walking in the great field. It means that you can go in any direction, and your freedom is ultimate. So for you to choose your own path and to make yourself your own being, you know.
Oh, that's absolutely amazing. And how long have you been involved in this study?
I started in 2010. So
2010?
Yeah, it was 9 years in July this year.
Oh, that's excellent.
And what month is it now? August?
Yes.
No, it's September now.
No,
August 30th.
We're not in September yet, but yeah, close enough.
Or is it September 1st right now?
No, it's not.
Tomorrow's the 1st.
Yes. Okay. Now that we've established that,
yes.
I think it's really awesome. Like, you and I have known each other for probably about 10 years now.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of debates, like heated debates sometimes, about our philosophies. Sometimes they don't match, and a lot of times they do. But I'm very grateful for this guy in my life, because he allows me to bounce ideas off of him, and he gives me some great ideas, and we sort of, mesh at times and have these great think tanks.
Yeah.
We do. We really do, right?
Duels.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And I know that your philosophy is a little bit different from mine. However, I love to keep an open mind, and that's what this whole episode is all about, keeping an open mind to other ways of thinking, other philosophies, other people's viewpoints. Always have to keep your mind open. And I feel that today, I from what I understand on YouTube, the fastest growing community is the spiritual community. So I'm really happy to be a part of it. And
yeah.
I know that you don't have your spiritual channel up and running, but you are planning on eventually doing that?
One day, when I can get a bit more of a solid routine, and just when I'm ready for it. I'm not quite there yet.
Absolutely. We always have to do when we're ready for things, right?
Yeah. Can't do it before you're ready for it.
I noticed that you're wearing this beautiful mala. It's really, really nice. I want to discuss that, actually, because this is something, I have a mala. I sort of know the basic meaning behind it, but I've never really practiced. What is the purpose of the mala? What do you do with it?
Well, it's a manifold tool, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
It does a lot of things in the end.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a meditation tool. It helps you focus your mind, and it helps you also, what you do with it, is you count. There's 108 or 109 beads on there, depending on your tradition, and you count and you do one recitation of a mantra as you're counting it. You know, if you have the mantra of peace, it's Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And you focus the states along with the, there's complementary, like when you learn a mantra, you get like a teaching with it. And you focus on that state of being while you're doing it, right? And then you do the formula that we tend to give for new people in the beginning is you do 9 recitations of a mantra a day for 12 days in a row, right? So doing 9 full times around it in a day, right? With something like the peace mantra, you can get it going pretty fast. Do 9 in like 20, 30 minutes,
Right.
you know, as long as you have the state incarnated while you're doing it. And then, so, you know, you do that for 12 days and eventually you've put a lot of time and investment in your consciousness into this thing and into honing a certain state of being that is also triggered and helps you find it, the mantra, right? The mantra is a trigger for that state of being, but also when you're learning the state of being, the mantra helps you find it, right? So that 9 by 12 thing is just to like get your foot in the door. We say you've charged it after you've done that. And that means you can sort of like say it just a couple times and bring up that state of being again. But you have to maintain that. You have to keep doing the practice or it'll fade, you know?
Exactly. And it's like anything else, right? You have to keep at it and be very vigilant.
So just a couple more things about that become extra benefits is when you learn a whole bunch of mantras and you start practicing differently. I guess this is more about mantras, but like I use these for learning mantras. Is you can get really flexible with your state of being. You can learn to go from this state of being to that state of being to that state of being to that state of being. You can do it at will. You can do it consciously. You can do it without those states of being controlling you. You're still remaining your master of yourself while being emotionally flexible in these different states of being, right? And like when you're doing them, it provokes other things too. So like that's the real juice, is when you're like, when you do the peace mantra, you know, if you get really deep into it, everything in you that's not at peace will come up at eventually, you know, and if you're consciously doing your integration aside from that as well, you know, you just boom, 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 you just keep unlocking new states of consciousness.
But basically, it's like used as a tool. It's like people would use crystals or like a tarot or anything else. These things are crystal ball.
Right. It's just a focus object.
It's a focus. Yeah, exactly. Thanks for that. Also, too, I find it really fascinating that you have gone to various places to do these seminars that you have gone to. What was your experience? What was the most exciting experience that you ever had? I know you went to Texas, you went to Spain, you went to Denmark. What was the most, like, the highlight of all of those seminars? What was the best experience?
That's a good question. I don't know. It's I don't know if it was cumulatively one signifying thing, you know, because you get into some pretty freaky states of being when you're out there and things kind of start like melding into each other. But you know, like there was some pretty cool like rituals that we've done that just like involved a lot of people and like a lot of like prayers and chanting and like a lot of group and like out in the forest in Denmark on these people's property. Super awesome. And like going through the just hanging out with the people there, you know, and the family that you get from it.
Exactly. That unity, that tribe.
Yeah, and finding
connection.
people that speak the same language as you, that are actually of the same school of thought and have the same lessons as you.
That's
because
so
if you're like, that's something that you and I come into, you know, we become aware of that pretty often, is that we're coming from different points of view at a lot of stuff. We're trying to say the same thing, but we have a totally different dictionary about it.
Exactly.
And that becomes a whole another level of shit to get in the way.
Very true.
You know?
But then it's like I always say, we're on different buses, but we're headed to the same destination.
So that's honestly one of the most significant things that I get just from being in a group and like, and stuff like that is just people speak the same language, so it's easy. You get rid of that whole layer, and that's really nice. Makes it easy. The techniques themselves are pretty powerful. Like I remember doing overnight meditations where we were getting into the theta state, brainwave states, and you know, we are also fasting that day or something.
Right. And
that's after the whole day of like meditating and sitting in seminar, getting the teachings from the teacher and all the other teachers. And
but what was the most defining? I think, like, you had so many different experiences, but it's probably hard to pick on just one. But what was one of the ones that really stands out in your mind? One experience?
This wasn't really a seminar. I was visiting somebody I had met on seminar, and there was a few other people who were like within not too far of a drive away. So it was sort of like a mini get together of students
and impromptu thing.
Yeah, and like I was fairly new into it at that time, but everybody else there was like the most advanced students in the whole fucking thing, right? And I was just like, oh, it's super cool. So we were on this farm in somewhere in Canada, and and we did a day of the elements. So we did a few Kabbalistic like rituals together to invoke you know, elemental spirits and stuff, and then we would do, I think we were using the major elemental systems. Or the minor or major elemental mantras. We have minor, major, primordial, elemental mantra systems. There's other ones too, but I think we were using the major ones. So for air, we went and climbed up on the roof of the barn and did air mantras.
Oh, really? You climbed up on a roof?
Yeah, we just put a ladder, and each of us at one point in the day went up there and did our mantras up there. Cool. The water one, there was a pool there, and he put like a brick at the bottom, and we would hold on to that brick and practice non-breath very safely, you know, like not pushing ourselves, because that can be dangerous, so you don't want to mess around. Exactly. You want to be very safe, but you know, you get the experience of being nourished by the water. Right. Okay. You do your mantras under the water. For earth, we buried ourselves, dug a hole, and then like poured soil on top of ourselves, and that was actually like singularly like really, really nice. And I think nobody there was really expecting it to quite feel as it did. Like, thought it was going to be kind of harsh, but it was like one of the most is arguably like the most comfortable I've ever been in my life. Like,
was it dry earth or wet earth?
I feel like it was like nice, soft, moist soil. Okay. I was expecting like ground, you know, but I think we had some nice soil. But either way,
well, it's good that you had some nice soil.
It really supported like every nook and cranny and crevice, and then you buried it, and it was just like a big blanket, and you felt like just hugged by Mother Nature. And you did your earth mantras, and then at the end of the night, we had a big fire, and we chopped it all up, and we did walking on the hot coals, and chanted fire songs and stuff.
You actually walked on the hot coals?
I was, not to brag, but I was the only one there that didn't burn the shit out of my feet.
Really? Yes. Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness.
Unfortunately for everybody else there, because they were in some pain, you know, and I was like, oh, you guys are all limping around.
That is unfortunate for the people who actually burned their feet, but good for you that you didn't.
That was a pretty cool thing.
Oh, wow.
That was a whole cool day, culminated with that walking on fire, so thought that was cool.
Wow, that sounds like an interesting experience for sure.
And then we drove back to never forget. Big City.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And you mentioned before about meditation with the Mallas and so forth. I'm just wondering, I know you've done all kinds of meditations on your seminars, but what was the longest you've ever meditated for? Like in one sitting? How long did you meditate for at one time?
Well, the longest meditation that I've done is 72 hours. And that was a group thing.
72
but that wasn't one sitting.
Okay.
You know, but it was 3 12-hour sittings and 3 12-hour classes.
Oh, wow.
Straight.
Oh my.
So 12 hours of class and then 12 hours of meditation. 3
And
days
what
in a
type
row.
of meditation did you do? Was it guided meditation or was it just
Well, on something like that, there's everything.
was someone
Basically like in a normal seminar, it's like you get the initiation to the mantra,
right.
which is just touching it, which is just like your first lick of the ice cream cone, you know? That and you don't really go much deeper than that, except like at seminar.
Mm-hmm.
There is certain times where, of course, there's times like, okay, we're gonna meditate for like 3-5 hours, or
right.
you have to meditate all night tonight or something.
But was someone guiding you? Was there someone?
There was a guide for that whole thing, but it was, again, it's not 72 hours of the same things. There's chunks of guided. Maha-Rita, there is a lot of guided meditation, but like the deeper it gets into it, the less guiding there is, and the ultimate goal with the style is to do it autonomously, right? So we don't really lean heavily on that, I don't think,
Okay. Do you find it easy to go, with all of your training, to go into a state of meditation, like at will, almost, now, if you can? So the whole goal, I know for myself, is I've been doing a lot of guided meditation and then practicing meditation on my own. But my goal now is, and I'm practicing it, to be meditating while you're standing here just talking to someone with eyes wide open and you're in that state of meditation. That is a wild feeling. I'm just experiencing it now for the first time myself, and it's pretty awesome. But I'm sure with someone with your training, you probably can do that at will. And you've probably
that's actually been my main practice for at least 2 years now. I used to do a lot of sitting down and getting back to what I was saying, at seminar you just touch it, right? That's because you're meant to go home by yourself and sit down in the dark, in the quiet, and do your fucking mantras. Yeah. So
you're so intense about that.
Yeah, and that's the point. Is when you're doing that, you go absorption. You go fully in on it, and you dive deep into that state of being. There is no bottom, right? You just keep charging it more and more and more.
Yeah. It's meditation is. I've had so many wild experiences.
I think
that.
The point of that's in a really good intermediate phase, is because now you're really getting to know that state of being, and you're also, when it's that heavily it actually goes into your flesh, and it actually binds itself into your cells. And that, once that happens, that's harder to go away, right? And it doesn't go right into your flesh, it goes from God to your soul, to your mind, to your heart, to your energy, to your body. And if we're just talking about mind, emotions, energy, and your physical body, which in the Maha-Rita, those are the 4 human levels that we exist on. Most of that is happening on the mind, which is fleeting, and it's important, and it's a very strong tool, and it's really great, but the mechanics of it it's not it's a negative thing. It's just unbiased mechanics, right? Is that the mental is lighter than the emotional, and the emotional is lighter than the energy, and the energy is lighter than the body, right? So emotions weigh more than the mind, but your chi weighs more than energy. So every time you move 1 unit of emotion, it'll move 10 units of mind, right? But if you move 1 unit of real willpower in the world, it'll move 100 units of mind, right? And if you actually manage to alter something on the physical plane, it'll move 1,000 units of mind. Right. So therefore you also have to activate 1,000 units of mind just to do one thing physically.
Absolutely.
Right? Just a little.
It's amazing. I find meditation almost out of this world. It's amazing, and the more you do it, the more intense the experience can be, and the easier it gets, and the better you get at it, and so forth. I have a question for you. What do you think of the state of the world right now in terms of where it's at? I know a lot of people are complaining about how things are going, the state of the world, and everything is in a decline. we as spiritualists, I mean, we tend to look at things and the world, the state of the world as well, and from a different perspective. I know I do. I want to hear your thoughts on the state of the world.
And I think that, like, I don't think I've ever met anybody that, like, didn't have any sort of personal issue left to work on for themselves.
Right.
I don't think, like, that person, like, maybe you can at that point you accomplish yourself and you can choose to come back as a being, but when you do that, you create those issues that's how you manifest, is by creating those issues, you know. So you can't exist without those type of issues. So for people to be like, oh, the state of the world, when you can't even, like, keep your bedroom clean, you know. I think, like, maybe we should start with something that's on a level that people can actually handle, which is, like, stop projecting, you know, stop pushing bullshit on everybody else, and like, fix your own self. And actually, you'll maybe find that when you look into yourself, you'll actually see that you just had a bunch of shit distorting your view of the world, you know. And then when you actually go in and you clean that up, you notice that, oh, maybe I actually have a better view of the world, and I don't think the world is so shitty anymore.
So you do feel that it's a projection when people are looking at the world and saying things like, it's all in chaos and everything is screwy and it's never going to get better. It's more of a projection of the person's point of view as opposed to what's actually in reality going on out there.
See, that's the trick, is the little bit you put on the end. That's the trap in there. Is, yes, I think that's a projection, and that doesn't have anything to do with whether or not that's actually true.
Right, because when
that's a projection, whether that's happening in the world or not.
I get you. I totally get you on that point. That's interesting, though, because I know myself, I have a different perspective of the world, and I feel that we as individuals can make a difference out there. It's our helping to raise our energy and our positive emotions. Those kinds of things can help bring things up, like the energy level up. And it starts with us always, because when people point the finger on others and say it's them, they're not doing right, I'm trying to do the right thing. I feel if we look less at what other people are doing and pay more attention to what we're doing, and if everyone did that collectively, I mean, I feel that that's the way to raise the...
Yes and no. Like, here's
energy.
the thing. Like, that is almost better thought of as, like, a hypothetical, because if you start applying that literally, then it's like training to become a doormat, you know? It's, you know, you can become extremely pacifist that way. So there's a whole... Passive. Exactly. Yeah, and like, if there's something really wrong in the world, I believe that consciousness and nature takes the course to rectify it.
Right.
You know, maybe not always in the most pleasant of ways. But ultimately,
sometimes,
like,
to bring change about, we have to stand up, and that's what I'm saying. It's not about being a doormat at all.
So
it's
saying
about
don't project
up.
Doesn't mean don't do anything to make the world better anymore. You know.
No, it's just don't project at every little thing, because a lot of people complain about every single thing that's going on in the world. Pay less attention. My philosophy is pay less attention to what's going on out there. Pay more attention to what's going on inside, because the way out is in. We have to go inside and correct ourselves first before we can really invoke or make a difference out there. That's the way I feel. That's my philosophy. You know, fix yourself first instead of trying to fix what's going on out there. But I agree with you. I mean, if there's something horrendous happening, absolutely, in your own personal life,
if you want a real,
like that,
if you want a real challenge, like maybe you're actually kind of competent. The general you. Maybe somebody's actually kind of competent and actually fixes himself up pretty good, you know. You want a real challenge? Try fixing, like, your family. Try fixing like
it always
broken friendships and stuff. You know, like, you don't have to jump to, like, I'm gonna stop littering.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that one.
I mean, like, great, fight littering. Yes, don't litter. Join the boat that's gonna clean up like 40% of the ocean that was invented by like a 18-year-old. That shit started already. I'm pretty sure.
Exactly. So what you're saying, and I totally agree, is that, you know, fix yourself, work on yourself first, and then your family, your friendships, and all the stuff that's going on in your life, and make sure that's okay. And then when you're strong there, then you can go out there and try and help what's going on in the exterior. And again, I agree with standing up for if something is really outrageous. You have to stand up for yourself. In no way ever be a doormat, because that's not going to ever help anyone. Just fixing yourself and not projecting out there means pay less attention to what you think is wrong in the world and pay more attention to what you can make right inside yourself first before you put the attention on the outside.
Exactly.
You know?
And I think that is 99% of what people are actually getting upset about. Because I don't think people like know what's going on in the world. Like the information that we get online is so all over the fucking map.
Exactly.
It's so hard to tell if any of it's true. And I mean, like we're in Canada and we probably have pretty decent like freedoms of being able to find information. Like they only really block down like crazy stuff, you know.
Right.
But there's other places that don't have internet and like
that's true.
But I mean, like often it's places that like that where you just go outside and it's like, you know, there's garbage everywhere. But like on like a global level, there's garbage everywhere.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I want to thank you very much for joining me today. I think we had a really good, candid, awesome interview, and I'm sure the viewers will really like it. Just in closing, I do want to let you know, I did mention before that Aaron has been on my channel because he's a very amazing, very talented musician as well. He always does that close the eyes and grin thing when he gets embarrassed when I boast about him. But he's an amazing guy. He's a really good friend of mine, really awesome human being. We have great conversations all the time. This is just a tip of the iceberg, all the convos we have. Going forward, I'll have you again back on here to interview you. I've really enjoyed this. And in closing, tell the viewers about you don't have the spiritual channel yet, but tell them about the YouTube channel you do have going on.
Well, I have a bass guitar music channel called Bacon's Bass Place. Been doing weekly videos, been around for about 2 years now. Got weekly videos coming out. I'm starting a live stream like this week, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursdays. Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, gonna be doing videos. And you can check out my prog rock band, Dizzy Mystics, at dizzymystics.com.
Yes, Dizzy Mystics. I've been to a few of their shows. Amazing. They're all amazing musicians. Of course, my good friend is terrific. There goes that grin again.
That's my stage training. That's not embarrassment.
Oh, really?
That's like when you get introduced and you do like you know, like.
Definitely go check out his channel, Bacon's Bass Place. You won't be sorry you did. Thank you very much to all of you who have joined us today. This has been a blast, and I guess I will see you next week for another episode of Hope for Humanity. Ciao for now.